Welcome to the Real Estate 360 Show, and this is Steve Connolly and
I am Mr. Jason O. Miles.
Yes.
Hashtag the real estate trainer.
hashtag the real estate trainer and hashtag unemployable.
I love it.
Hey, I'm going to take us off topic. By the way, our topic today is back to the basics.
Yes.
And, we're going to cover the 4 questions that everybody asks us constantly about real estate, but we're going to do that in a minute. So we're talking to one of these guys that's contacted us through this. Contacted you actually, and he said, "Listen, I work with IBM,
Yes.
and my partner and I used to say, during the rough times, when they were getting laid off and then getting rehired, and stuff like that." He said, "My partner and I said, well, we're employable, and then he saw my hashtag, which was hashtag unemployable. And he said that took him aback a bit.
Yeah.
So he said, but he kind of liked that idea. So we're meeting up with him in the near future.
That's right. And he was a good guy. I mean, he had seen some of our marketing for some of the things that we do. I actually ran into him at in the parking lot of a Home Depot.
Wow.
And he said, "Hey, aren't you the guy?"
Yeah.
And we stood out there for like an hour and we talked and talked and talked. So it's really great to have someone come into the fray with that much desire, intensity even. I mean, he's not intense in that, like, oh, he's so intense, but he just wants to succeed.
Yeah.
And he's willing to, put himself out there to make that happen. And that's what's required.
It is. It's a commitment. It's a lifestyle, but it's a commitment. You can't go to lunch and expect things to happen.
No.
Well, you can. You gain some weight, but it might not be real estate.
That's right. That's right. I love it.
And you have a presence, a good presence on Facebook and some other social media that I don't have. So people don't come up to me and say you're that real estate guy.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But those are the things that really, especially in today's world, really helps whatever kind of business you have be recognizable in the market in which you're in.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for it, and for all its good. I love it.
Well, back to the basics. I was looking at this list and thinking, I need, as long as I've been doing this, every now and then I need reminders, and I need to get back to the basics a lot of times, So I'm looking at, okay, we need some more properties, and I'm thinking, where do I find the properties,
Right.
So I get, what I do? I get out the 4-week action plan, and I pull that out, and I say, wow, I forgot about this one and that one and this one, and we all just need those reminders. And,
Right.
people can get that. Where can they get that 4-week action plan?
Well, they can go right to the site, right?
Yeah.
And they can, there's a link on the site that's going to tell people, it's going to say 4-week action plan, and they'll just sign up, put your information in there. It's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah.
And you can download the 4-week action plan so you can begin the steps that it's going to take for you to find success in the real estate business, and really in any business. I mean, those are pretty, across the board kind of things. Obviously, there are things in there that are specific to real estate.
Yes.
But it's fundamentals. And more often than not, we kind of just skip over those things. And we really shouldn't, because those are the foundation blocks for your success.
And that list is very helpful. It's kind of like a, what do you do first to-do list for your real estate business.
That's right.
And it just puts everybody right on track, and say, and this is an elephant. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And
Big
so
bites, though.
What's that?
Big bites, though.
Big bites, grilled, fried, broiled. I've never had an elephant, but any part of it. Anyway, but we take one of those things and say, wow, I think I want to do my incorporation first.
Yeah.
Or I think I want to start looking at houses first. Or I think I want to go to Zillow and start looking and kind of get a feel for values and pick an area and, do whatever, it doesn't matter. Just get started, right?
That's right. I mean, there are all kind of things that you can do simultaneously. It's not necessarily you do this first, you do this second, you just do this third. because you want to be active on all fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes time for you to get out there and meet people and put these processes together. It takes time for you to incorporate a business. I mean, you can do it in a day, but where do you do it? How do you do it? What do you need to say in there? What kind of documentation do you need? All those things are very important, but you can't get stuck in one place and say, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is this. And when that's done, I'm going to do the next thing and the next thing. You have to get out there. If you're going to be looking for properties, you got to start looking. You have to start making people know that you are here.
Right.
That's the only way to find deals. That's the only way to get anything done. You got to be present.
Thanks for saying that, because, this is a business that is you're self-employed.
Yes.
So nobody's looking over your shoulder saying, well, you got to do this, this, and this, and this. And just because the first thing on that list is the first thing, whatever it is,
right,
doesn't mean you have to start there. So the point is, do whatever it is you feel like doing at the time, and that way you'll get the most benefit out of it, and it will be the easiest way to get yourself going.
That's absolutely right. And I just want to take a second to, thank everybody for listening and watching on YouTube. For anyone who is listening to this that hasn't gone and downloaded the podcast or subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do that. Make sure you go to iTunes, make sure you go to Spotify, make sure you go to Google Play, YouTube, Real Estate 360 at YouTube. Make sure you do that. And please, engage with us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. I mean, I say it all the time, but we really, really enjoy the feedback. So let us know what you think all the time. Subscribe, listen, watch, engage.
And you can find our contact information on our website, which
exactly
is realestate360show.com. Plus, there's a lot of videos there, too, in case you want to, check up on some of the past episodes.
That's absolutely right. So
Yes.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let's continue to make it happen. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
The basics.
That's right.
Hit it.
So everybody always wants to know where they're going to find the properties. We had a great conversation with a gentleman that we work with yesterday.
Yeah.
Who was talking about someone he was working with that was in a rural area.
Oh, yes.
And, a lot of people would say, why? You can't do anything there. Why? You're not going to make any money. But he's making money, and he's found different ways within the real estate business industry to make money in a rural area.
Yeah.
And he does that by, one, finding the properties that he finds in that area, and two, helping other people in that area do the exact same thing, which is basically him helping people learn how to buy his properties.
Mentoring people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just a fantastic way because, conventional thought would say cast a wide net, market everywhere to everyone, all over the city, but the reality of it is if you live in Dallas, Georgia, you're probably not going to do a lot of marketing in Gwinnett County.
It wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Right. It's a long drive, right? It doesn't mean you can't do it. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. What it does mean is you need to develop a network, right? So if you're going to do direct mail, for instance, or if you're going to do more specifically internet marketing for your deals, you don't know where that's going to go.
That's right.
You don't know who's going to share it. Even if you're doing bandit signs. I mean, how often do we'll put bandit signs in Southwest Atlanta, but we'll get calls for properties in Decatur because the person driving by, even though they're driving by in Southwest Atlanta, they might have a property in another area. And, we get those calls all the time. Hey, I got a property in Decatur, that was left to me, or I have an investment property that I just can't handle anymore or don't want to handle anymore.
Right.
You never know where you're going to find them. But if you're so far away from it, if you've got a great network, you can pick up the phone and say, hey, Steve, I know you're a little bit closer to this area. Can you check out this property at 123 Main Street for me? And everybody can, kind of have a part of that deal, however that plays out, right? But that's an important thing to do. But the deals are everywhere.
You're talking about like whatever, Dallas or Rome or Northwest. We all suffer a little bit from ethnocentricity, which means,
what does that mean?
It means You're familiar with your own surroundings, and so people, it blows my mind. They say, "Well, why would anybody live over there?"
Right. Right.
Well, just because you don't live there doesn't mean other people don't live there.
That's right.
Or just because it's not near your work doesn't mean it's not near their work.
Mm-hmm.
So people get in their box and they kind of forget. But no, yeah, people will live all over the place.
Yeah.
Just look around.
That's right. Even us. We're not stuck in one area.
No,
and there was a time where the vast majority of our business was in one area, but that's because we knew it was coming. We had a foothold in there, and then we did it until it was oversaturated.
Yeah.
We then simply identify new areas. Doesn't mean we're not doing any business in that area. We've just refined the way we do business in that area.
Well, we like to kind of pay close attention to what's going on and where we want to go, where the flow is, and it's kind of like the same thing as doing what you like to do first.
That's right.
We're watching the flow and we're saying, well, where is the action and where is it easier to do the business?
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
But more importantly, for the beginner,
yeah,
how do they identify these areas or these properties? Okay, so we know that it's all over. There are properties everywhere. You'll find them everywhere.
And what you just said is really on our list here. It says, the real question is, how do you recognize the values? It's
Absolutely.
not where do you find the properties.
Right.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. And there's opportunity in every aspect of it. And over time, people will learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take a little break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to dig deeper into, 2, 3, and 4 of this thing.
Okay. No, I want to go back to 1.
Okay, let's stick there then.
All right.
We'll Buy Your House. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
And we're back, Real Estate 360. And hey, we're talking about back to the basics, and really the main question that people ask is, where do you find those great deals,
Yeah. But again, like we were talking about, before the break, they're just everywhere. And it really is just identifying them. For the beginner, you mentioned looking at, what's going on in certain areas, right? For me, when I started, I just looked for places where there was renovation being done, where there were more than just one thing being done and, one project. And I knew, obviously, that was a way to identify an area that could be great. So I started looking in that area, and deals just started to happen. They just started to happen. There are other ways to go about it as well. You can go into areas that are heavy rental areas,
Mm-hmm.
because there is going to be a landlord in there who's tired of that house, who's tired of the tenants, who's tired of the repairs. There's going to be that opportunity. It's your job to simply say, hey, who here wants to sell a house? You have to present the opportunity. And it doesn't mean you're the only one, which is another question that a lot of beginners have, right? Like, if I'm marketing and you're marketing and she's marketing, how am I going to get the deal?
Right.
Well, if you walk into the store today and you go in there to buy eggs and you walk past the bread because you don't need the bread today, it doesn't mean you're not going to need bread tomorrow. Right? So your need isn't necessarily at that particular moment. It's the numbers game, right? If you're marketing and I'm marketing and 1,000 other people are marketing in that area, the person that wants to sell or is interested in selling is going to call whoever is, whatever's in their hand to call at the moment that they're interested in selling. Not before, not after. And it just matters, just depends on who he picks up, what letter he picks up, what phone call he answers, what email he responds to, or she.
And that is, you've been around doing this for a while.
Some people might say that.
Yeah. But that is very important to actually recognize, and I'm glad you pointed that out. Thank you, because people will say, is there any room for me in this business? And Absolutely,
That's
there's
right.
room.
That's
Shall I
right.
tell a story?
I'd love for you to tell a story.
So I got here, in Atlanta, and I was in the payphone business, and my partner sold the business, and he forgot to tell me. And so I said, well, I guess I'll do some real estate. And so I opened up the AJC, and that's the way it was done.
Yeah, there were these things back in the day called newspapers.
And classified ads.
Right.
Yeah, right. So, gosh, I hope I haven't told the story, but it doesn't matter, So there's classified ads in there, and there's 30 or 35. Actually, I counted them. There's like 35 We Buy Houses ads in there, and all kinds of sizes from huge to super tiny.
Yeah, the two-liners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3-liners. I think that
Three-liners.
was the minimum. So I called a bunch of them, and nobody answered the phone.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh my God, this is a gold mine." So it's about timing, and also your availability. Because if you're
Correct.
just starting in the market, guess what? You got all kinds of time. So that's when you answer the phone.
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot. You
We
have
do.
to answer the phone. Just because you're putting the marketing out there does not mean that opportunity is going to magically appear. It doesn't mean that you're going to just fall asleep and wake up with a check in the mail, right? So you have to answer the phone. You've got to be present. If you're not present, well, that happens later in the business when you fall
okay.
asleep and wake up to checks in the mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that happens later. But
That's when you have your systems in place.
you got your systems in place. You got stuff out there. Maybe you're in the multifamily business, and you're in the cash flow life now, baby.
Yeah.
But you have to be present. You're 100% correct. I mean, we stress that all the time on every level of the trainings that we do.
Yeah.
If you're not answering the phone, or if you haven't put systems in place for that phone to be answered, you're not going to get the business, which is why you got the business. You were present.
Absolutely. I put my phone number in there. I think we had cell phones. I can't remember.
Well, we know they had payphones.
Right.
We know they existed.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't have any, but anymore. But I put my phone number in there, and when the phone rang, I just picked it up, and I said, "Hello,
Yeah.
do you have a house for sale?"
That's right.
And and you were talking about areas too, which is I want to bring us
Yeah.
back around to that, because that's a really good way to get started. is
Absolutely.
find an area that is gentrifying, or there's activity going.
Mm-hmm.
Drive around, and you're going to see signs, for sale signs, We Buy Houses signs,
Mm-hmm.
all of that
Handyman
activity.
special.
Yeah, and start calling all those people.
That's right.
Find out what they're selling their house for, and then you can go look it up these days and find out what they paid for it. And
Mhm.
so there's the business right there.
And that's that's a perfect way to find properties. If you don't know how to market,
Mm.
or you're just learning how to market, you're just learning about whatever marketing style or styles that you want to do, a perfect way to just get busy is to call those bandit signs and say, because if they're selling one house, or
Yeah.
if they might only have one, they may have more.
Yeah.
But if they've got signs out there that say "We buy houses," it doesn't say "We buy a house."
Right.
It says "We buy houses," so they probably have more inventory. So you can get into a situation with them and say, "Hey, let me see your list. Do you mind if I market it to my buyers?" And you know what? You might not make $10,000 or $5,000 on a house, but you might make $1,500, $2,500 on a house by just taking that house that someone else put the work into to find, and then remarketing it using social media, whatever form of social media, whatever list you've been able to develop or are developing, and just market that property to them, because they may not have seen that deal. And there's an opportunity for you without you having to really go out there and knock on doors. Now, I wouldn't say create a business of that, although there are people that do.
There are definitely.
There's a lot of people that do it. I mean,
Yeah.
there are people that make goo gobs of money just remarketing other people's properties all around the country. You can be right here in Atlanta and wholesale stuff in Central Florida or Chicago or wherever.
Right.
All you have to do is find people that do that.
And know what you're doing, and
Absolutely.
protect yourself, so
Absolutely.
that people don't scoot around you and try
Gotta
to
have that
do all
paperwork
crazy
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But that you mentioned that you don't have to be newbie to do this.
No.
I've got several seriously seasoned investors that call me on a regular basis. Say, hey, how about this one? Let me write a contract on it, and I'm going to mark it. And I say, okay.
Yep. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Some people like it, some people don't, but everyone likes the end result of those kinds of relationships.
Right.
And that's all that matters. You do have some small-minded sellers out there, though. That say,
Definitely.
hey, we're selling it for this. If you want to sell it for this, there's no room in there for you to make money. You got to add to it. So if they're selling it for 60 and they want 60, you've got to, and they're marketing it at 60, you've got to now market it at 62, 63.
Let's redefine that because, every now and then I'll say that, and I don't consider myself a small-minded investor, but
No.
it just depends on the numbers. I mean, sometimes,
That's right.
we're in it like super tight.
That's right. And we'll have people. I mean, how many times have we been to the closing table where we've had a contract with this one person who's flipped it to this person, who's flipped it to that person, and the buyer in the situation, because the lender's only going to lend, especially when we're marketing it, because we're marketing it at what lenders are going to lend on it.
That's right.
So the buyer, whoever that end buyer is going to have to come up with all those extra monies, which is why it's important, I believe, for buyers to say, okay, what is this house really worth in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And if all those numbers come together to show that worth, hey, you're going to just put 10% down.
And,
or whatever the lending parameters are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That just brings to mind a particular one that I did a couple years ago, 2 or 3, 4 years ago. Anyway, get to the closing, and the attorney is not happy because he has had to work very hard.
That's the daisy chain, right?
Oh, my God. Well, come to find out, there are 7.
Oh.
There's 7 different people in the middle of this transaction.
Wow.
I was one of them, you know?
Yeah.
And I made the most. But, but it doesn't matter, though, because everybody made a little bit. And,
right.
You can pay a rent utility bill with $2,000 or $3,000,
That's
or
exactly
maybe
right.
cover your whole monthly expenses.
And you know what? If the deal makes sense, if the value still comes in and the lender says, okay, the value's there,
yeah,
they're going to fund that. And those people, everybody in that, those 7 people are going to get paid. And obviously in this case did. But I have also been on the other end of that.
Yeah.
Where we sold a house. Now, there was no daisy chain. We got a really, really good deal on a house. And we were selling it to someone else, and there was a sizable margin there. And the lender said, I'm not paying you guys all that money. And they capped us. We had to take a second mortgage on that deal.
Okay, yeah.
That was on,
change the name to protect the innocent.
Yeah.
So
that was a house.
Right, a house.
Somewhere in Atlanta.
Right.
That will go unnamed. But, the lender said, look, we see the value. The appraisal came in, but we're not comfortable with you making that much money.
Yeah.
You could take a second mortgage, do whatever you want, wait to get paid, and that's what we had to do.
That just doesn't seem right.
But it happens. It happens. And especially when there are that you really see more often when the lender is aware of how long a daisy chain can be. That's generally when I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it happen the way that it happened to us. It's the first time I'd ever seen it, but there's a first time for everything.
And on that 7-person daisy chain, I had to cut my fee to make it work because there was just too much in there.
Yeah.
So it comes down to the numbers got to work.
The numbers have to
for
work.
Everybody, for everyone.
And the lender's going to make sure that it works for them.
Exactly.
And ultimately, that just protects the end buyer.
Yeah.
Truly does. And I'm not mad at that. But let us take a small break. Make sure that we pay the bills around here. Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833willbuy.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
Welcome back.
We are back. We are back.
So what are we talking about?
We're really talking about finding these deals, man.
Yeah.
You gotta find the deals, man.
So, I mean, we talked about classified ads.
Yes.
Now, is that an effective way to find a deal today?
No, not so much.
Yeah,
not
I
so
tried.
much.
You know what? I actually tried that again.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Didn't go too well. Cost me like $200 or $300, and I got nothing. Not a thing.
Can I tell a very brief story about
Please.
a property that we just got?
Yeah.
All right. So I run these ads on Craigslist. And I run ads because I know that there are a lot of buyers that are buying in Atlanta, but they're from California, New York, Chicago, Utah, Colorado, because real estate is so expensive out there. So they're buying it here because they can buy a whole house for, $100,000. They get the land too. I'm not sure if you know that. Right?
Right, really?
Yeah. They get it
Is
all.
this a house with wheels on it?
It's planted to the ground.
Wow.
There is a firm foundation.
Okay.
So I run these ads. I run a couple different kinds of ads, and I just keep them going all the time. You don't get a lot of hits from it, but it doesn't cost you anything either. So if all it takes is for me to refresh it and sometimes just do it new every 2 or 3 days,
Yeah.
okay, it's free, and you never know what's going to happen. So we get a telephone call a couple weeks ago, or I got a telephone call a couple weeks ago from a lady in Colorado. She's in Colorado, and she had a rental property, bad management because she was doing it herself.
Bad repair guys, bad
Horrible everything.
Quote unquote contractors, not really.
Just taking advantage of this woman,
Yeah.
and she's had it for quite some time. And she said, you know what, I just want out. But she owes not more than it's worth, but not enough for us to go, to buy it from her and go in and do the repairs.
Pretty
and
close
make money.
to what it's.
It's pretty close to what it's worth,
Yeah.
to what it's actually worth. But she has a great mortgage on it, great interest rate.
Yeah.
Her payment is in the low 7s. It needs, I don't know, maybe $10,000, $12,000 worth of reno.
Probably not that much. I mean, she just put in a HVAC system,
That's right.
brand new.
Yeah.
There's a brand new double oven out in the garage. You told me about
It's
that.
just sitting there.
And it's there. Of course, that needs to be installed.
Yeah.
The refrigerator's there.
Yep. Stove.
I guess it works. I didn't open the door.
I'm always afraid to open
Yeah,
those.
me too. But the power's on, so that's usually a good sign.
That's right. New roof. Well, relatively new. It's 5 years old.
Decent roof. Yeah, very good roof. And a dishwasher.
Yep.
Functional kitchen, bathrooms are, they're not updated or anything,
Right,
but
right.
they work.
That's right.
Yeah.
We structured a great deal with that. Actually, you structured that deal. I mean, we talked about it. We said, hey, look, here's a great subject to opportunity for us.
Yeah.
It's a property that we can take down, no money out of pocket, just take over payments and do the repairs.
Well, you called me on that thing, and so I was just listening to it, and you said, yeah, it's like 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty close to the value, and I just asked a few questions, and I jumped on Zillow and looked at some pictures. You sent me some pictures. I can't really remember.
It was Zillow.
Zillow.
Yep.
And you said, and she'll just let us take over the payments. And I was looking at it and said, I don't need to see anymore.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Because it's something that'll make, it's going to rent for $1,200, $1,300 a month. We're talking about, $400 a month right there.
I'm going to suggest that we do an Airbnb on this.
Hey, it'll make more.
Why not? And I've got a bunch of furniture in my basement. I got to get it out of there. So, this will be an opportunity for there.
Absolutely.
And then a friend from the church called me up and said they got a sleeper sofa they want to try to get rid of. It's a nice leather, sleeper sofa. And guess what you need in Airbnb?
You need beds.
You need the sleeper sofa.
Yeah, you need
And
more
beds. A lot of beds.
Well, once you got, that's another bed.
Yeah.
Now it can sleep 8.
Exactly. Right. Or as I heard on the radio, I think it was Paul Harvey was talking about, they had this boat that was, a big cabin cruiser, and they said, so how many people does it sleep? Well, and he said, well, it depends. Well, it sleeps, 4 good friends, 8 lovers, or 16 drunks.
I like that. I like that one. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
16 drunks. I like that one.
Right.
That's pretty good. But hey, listen, I run these things down to people. There was a video that I did about, how to make $100,000 a year.
Okay.
And, this is one of those that fits the profile, whether you're just doing a straight rental or you're doing a lease option, to someone else, that is, or you're doing Airbnb. These things can make people a lot of money. If you're doing, in order to make $100,000 a year, you have to make roughly $8,300 a month. If you're doing
83, I thought it was 88, 88.
83, 33, 33.
Well, that's
33.
it. That's it. Okay.
Yep.
Obviously, I haven't paid that much attention.
But, if you did just one deal like that a month, right?
Yeah.
Just one deal like that every month. After 12 months, I mean, you got to work up to the 100,000, but here's a way to get there. But after 12 months, that's $4,800 a month. Worst case scenario. That's if you're just doing straight rentals. If you're doing Airbnb, if you're doing lease options to someone else, that number's going to go up because you're getting down payments, things like that. And if you're doing 1 to 2 wholesales a month on top of that, and those wholesale deals are paying you $3,000 or even $2,500 a piece, just 2.
Sure.
You've now made over your $100,000 a year mark, and you've only done 2-3 deals a month.
Now you're talking my language, and what I love to say, I was at a closing yesterday, and the attorney was looking at you're having a pretty good, payday here.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not going to tell her that, I don't get to keep all that. But, she said, well, how long have you been working on this? And I said, about 3 months. I said, it's not a bad part-time job.
That's right.
And, that's what you're talking about. And we look at these houses as just part-time, little part-time jobs. And
right.
But, we don't really want to be self-employed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I think the monthly income cash flow situation, because I've always been a hunter-gatherer, let's get real.
That's right.
I like going out there and finding these things and negotiating them and taking them down and then pulling them back to the cabin. And
one of the things I like about you, Steve, I've always liked this about you. Steve is 100% fearless, right? Steve will get in, whatever little car you're driving that day,
okay.
right? He'll get in any little car he's got, and he'll drive to any neighborhood. I witnessed you do a deal this way. Well, I know you've done several, but one in particular stands out. He drives up to a house where they're doing work. He gets out of the car, and you had that little gray car at the time.
Oh, yeah, the little Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And if you see Steve, he pretty much wears the same thing all the time. I mean, not the literal same thing, but it's the same outfit. It's the jeans and the button-up shirt with the little circle glasses, right? And he gets out, and he walks up to the guy that's doing the work. And
my hard shoes.
You got to have the loafers.
Shoes.
Got to have the loafers. And he gets out, and he goes to the guy working on the house. He says, are you the owner of this house? He said, no.
I don't do it that way. I say, you must be the owner. That way, and then, so either they're going to say yes or they start laughing.
That's right. But that guy wasn't the owner, but he connected you with the owner who did want to sell the house.
Right.
And you wind up doing the deal. But that's what you do. That's what I like about you in the way that you can go into a neighborhood. You don't care what that neighborhood looks like. You're going to walk up to the house, to the person, just fearless and just now. And I'm saying this because a lot of people are afraid to do that. But that gives you an in.
That's right.
One of the things that that I utilize to find deals are contractors. Because when they're not getting paid, they know that the house they're working on is in trouble. The owner's in trouble.
Right.
And they can connect you with those. So, if the electrician didn't get paid or the HVAC guy didn't get paid or the plumber didn't get paid, they'll give you leads that could turn into potential opportunity for you. And they, we'll throw if we buy the place, we'll give them $500 or so, and boom, we're out of there. Everybody's happy. We saved this owner from having a blemish on their credit, possibly. This guy made an extra $500 in a situation where he wasn't going to make anything at all, and we got a deal.
I love it.
We got a deal. So I like how I really like when you do that. I like when you tell me those stories about how you found. I like it.
I appreciate that.
And then, of
but
course, I witnessed it.
Yeah, I don't even know what house that was, of course, but you might. But because you seem to have a better memory about these things than I do.
It's my spidey senses.
That's what it is. I don't have my glasses with me today. But I have to say this about you, if you don't mind.
I'm going to start blushing.
You probably will because I met Miles, and you told me later that that you had made a dime when I had met you in real estate, and then you started making some, and but since then you have become where the student, if you will, becomes the master, and you've kind of taken me in whole new directions with multifamily. Yeah, I just flipped one, big deal, it's like, who cares? But you're saying, well, look at these numbers, I can kind of know just by looking at them, I kind of have a sixth sense.
Yeah. When
it comes to like that Columbus thing we just did. But you're like, holy crap, the Pascal of multifamily with, 3 sheets of paper, and you have the patience to sit down and say, well, if you look at this number right here, we're going to charge this amount of money because the rent is $600 in this area. We're going to be at $540. And the reason we're at $540 is because we want to be under market. That's what people can pay. And we're going to renovate the property. And the cap rate is this. And, the absorption rate is that. And, the inverted curve yield on this particular property is so. It's like, my head's just spinning, man. So I said, look, I know that if I multiply 60 times the rent, 60 units, time the rent amount, and then I say take a figure like 20% off for expenses, and we get this, and that's a good deal.
Right.
Besides that, I don't want to know the rest.
But
so
it's
my compliments to you
Thank you very much.
And saying, okay, thank God, you're sitting there with these attorneys explaining this because you're having to educate everybody on this whole business.
Which is really weird.
I know.
It's like
and we're over our time. We got to take a break right now.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
All right, now we are back. Steve.
Yes.
We have an event coming up, don't we?
Always have an event. And guess what? It's called Success in Your First 30 Days.
Which is what everyone wants.
Well, yeah. And, you've got to have a track to run on. You've got to understand what you're doing. Success in your first 30 days is that first 30 days is the time that you're least likely to be successful.
Yeah.
You know why? You don't know nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. And success in your first 30 days coupled with the 4-week action plan kind of just lays everything out for you, what you need to do, how you need to do it, working with people like us, obviously, and stuff like that. We can kind of fast track people into relationships that, they might not have access to right now. Where do I get a lender if I find a property that I want to buy? Well, here's a few that we deal with. What attorneys do we use? Well, here's a few that we need to deal with. Well, where do I find a mentor? Well, you're talking to 2 of them.
Right.
That kind of thing. So we kind of fast track people into those situations.
And mentors are highly, highly important. And we have our mentors. We have the people that we pay close attention to, and we pay them because they're worth it. There's got to be an exchange of some sort. Now, it doesn't have to be us by any means. We don't know everything. I'll be the first one to admit that. I don't know everything.
I wish I did.
There's stuff I don't know that I don't even know I don't know.
That's right.
And but just being around people who are in the business, you're just going to pick up a whole bunch of stuff that you'll learn that you didn't know.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And people want to come in. And how do they find out more information about this event?
Well, there's this Real Estate 360 thing here. If you copy that and then add show to it and .com, you'll go to our website.
And when is the event?
It's right there it says October the 19th.
October the
from
19th.
10 a.m. until 12 noon.
That's right.
Two whole hours.
We like for people to get there at least 30 minutes early, so we can kind of network and talk, get to know you a little bit, see what you want to know, what you do know, what you don't know, what you've done, what you haven't done, stuff like that.
Listen, we want people that know nothing about real estate to show up, and we want people that know a lot about real estate to show up, because then we have a nice group of people that can intermingle, learn from each other. It's just a lot more fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a sharing environment. So it's not a situation where you come in and you're going to sit at a desk and just take notes and be told what to do. This is an interactive thing. It's an exchange. We want you to be able to ask your questions. That's why you're there, to get answers to those questions. You're there to meet people, and we like to make sure that occurs.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So that's October 19th.
October the 19th.
Realestate360show.com.
Yes, and that October the 19th is a Saturday.
Yes.
So, if you have a day job, if you're not like me, unemployable, you don't have a job, then you can come.
That's right. That's right. So
unless you work on
there.
Saturdays.
Make sure you get there. Go to realestate360show.com. Sign up for the event. Come and hang out with us and learn something new. Meet some new people. Add to your arsenal.
Right. Now, listen, we've been talking about where to find the undervalued properties.
Yes.
This whole show.
Yeah.
And we could have talked about the other things on our list, but this is the place to start.
Right.
And what is very helpful, at least for me, it was, I just started looking at a whole bunch of stuff, and then if I can just get a pile of properties to look at, and if you do the same thing, a pile of them, print off some information all in a particular area, kind of the same thing, and you start flipping through those things, what you'll find is that all of a sudden, one or two or three of those, if you have a stack of, let's say, 100 or so,
Mm-hmm.
one or two or three of those are going to start to stand out.
Yes.
You're going to say, wow, this is like a deal.
Because it's that whole thing from back in the day with Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other.
Right.
Right?
I think they're still doing that.
Hey, that's good. I haven't seen it in forever. But I might need a recap.
Brush up.
Yeah, I got to watch that again. But
it is exactly like that, It's like, but it's the parameters of your house, hopefully, are about the same.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, there's one that's like $20,000 or $50,000 less than all the others.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said.
Yeah.
What's different about this?
Yeah. And then you just do a little investigation, make some phone calls, go look at it, and put in some offers. That's what it is.
Hey, there may be a good reason why it's a lot less. So one of our mentor students sent me over to look at this house that she found, and so I drove past it, and I didn't see it. And I drove past it again, and I kept looking, and I said, well, now there's that address, and there's that address. Turns out that house, the reason it was so cheap was because there was not a house there anymore. It was just a vacant lot, but the last picture online was a house.
Yeah.
So, you got to go inspect. As one of my old friends used to say, you got to go inspect what you expect.
Right.
Otherwise, it's probably not there in a house situation.
Yeah, that's for sure. So you got to look, you got to put your toes in the dirt, as I like to say.
Mm.
You got to get out there, you got to look at it, you got to do it. And again, there are other methods that people do. We watch that all the time. I mean, we've had wholesalers that will, put a property under contract, without ever looking at it just because they like the numbers, right? Which is kind of in line with what we talked about in the beginning of this show, which is just selling other people's stuff and then allowing whatever buyer that may or may not be interested in it to let them go and look at it and do all the work for them. So we see a lot of that.
That's a great, I used to do that constantly, especially when we first connected up.
Yeah.
I was running 25, 30 houses at a shot,
Yeah.
A month.
Yeah.
And, man, I didn't have time to look at all those houses, but I knew how to recognize the value when I saw it.
That's right.
So I'd tie it up under contract. I'd start marketing it. And guess what? You'll get all the feedback.
That's right.
By doing, people are going to say, hey, I'll take it. Or they're going to say, "Have you seen this house?"
Yeah.
And I'll say, "No."
That's right.
What does it look like? And they say, "Well, it looks pretty good until you go around the back and it's burned down."
Yeah.
And it's like a movie set. It's like only the front's there. So this is not a good deal. And so then I get, my form out and I type up a termination.
That's right. That's right. And that happens a lot.
Yeah. So there's as many ways as you can imagine, and probably many, many more ways that you can imagine of how to do this business.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of doing it. You just got to get out there and do it, because guess what? You're going to modify your processes along the way. You're going to do different things for different properties. Different situations call for a different set of tools. So I'm always using analogies, but you're not going to fix your transmission the same way you fix your exhaust system. You have to have different tools. Although it's the same vehicle,
Yeah.
you got to have different tools. It's just a different way, a different thing that you have to do in real estate for each deal. And that's what's so exciting about it. It's not cookie cutter. It's not the same every time.
That's what I love about this business.
Absolutely.
I'll wake up in the morning and say, based on everything I've got going on here, I'm going to need, $20,000 or $30,000, or something like that, or whatever, $3,000 by the end of the week or end of the month, or sometime. And I'll just say, well, this is a new day, a brand new day, and I'm really anxious to see what great opportunities show up that will fill this void for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear that? That was silence. That was just a little bit of silence. So then I start listening and watching, and then the inspiration comes. Oh, let's do this or let's do that, and then we're off to the races.
Yes,
and that's what's fun.
It is, but that silence is what gives you the ability to receive what it is you need.
Thank you.
And you need that. And so many of us are too busy being busy. There's constant noise. There's no, and I'm talking about the noise of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all this stuff clamoring around in your brain, and if you can't silence your mind, you will not find the solution.
Right.
So you have to be still sometimes and allow what you already know to come to you.
Exactly. Next week, I'd like for us to talk, and we talked about this, like to talk about multifamily, because, that's what's exciting for us right now. The single families are like, okay.
Yeah, right.
But the multifamily is really exciting for us. And, I listen to Dale Walmsley. He comes on right after us, and the guy is spot on. Oh, my God. I mean, I feel like I could be Dale.
That's right.
But I certainly haven't been doing this nearly as long as him, and certainly I don't have, and you don't have the track record that he does.
For sure, absolutely.
I have a lot of respect for what he's talking about on his show,
and it's real. It's real talk.
Absolutely,
And that's what you need. If you want to learn about it, you have to learn from the people that are doing it today.
Of course, I want to talk about us, and multifamily, next week. So.
And that's what we're going to do then.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys that are interested in that, make sure you come and check us out and next week, and make sure you check out the podcast, Real Estate 360 Show, and let us know what you think.